Hello, and welcome to our third lesson in our online class, Preparing Your Dog for New Baby. This lesson is going to focus on dog body language. And like we talked about before, understanding your dog's body language is going to help get you out of a lot of sticky situations. You'll be able to recognize when your dog is starting to feel uncomfortable. You'll be able to intervene, most importantly. Now, before we get really started on your dog's body language, it's really important that we talk about communication in general. And humans and dogs communicate differently. And so we need to acknowledge that right away, first thing. Babies and their mothers typically are evolved to sort of gaze into one another's eyes longingly. You're going to do that a lot. You're going to spend hours and hours, whether you're mom or dad or any grandparent especially, because, it's like their dream job. And you're going to notice in the next few slides that dogs and people have an entirely different form of communication from one another. And that can become problematic for dogs. In this particular image, you're going to notice that, the baby and the mom are looking into each other's eyes. But that's not actually how dogs interact with one another. So humans have different greeting rituals, which include hugging and, I get into somebody's face and, oh, you're so cute, which I hated as a child, by the way. So maybe don't do that. But that's kind of what some people do. And they get up and they want to kiss you and, really a lot of eye contact. But dogs do something very different. So they're not frontal at all. Dogs actually tend to spin around one another, a lot of nose to tush kinds of strategies of how they like to meet one another. So a dog, to diffuse stress, will often look away if somebody is staring at them. Now, when your baby starts to sit up, their eyes are at the height where they're kind of staring into the dog's face. And so it comes as no surprise that toddlers often get bitten in the face because they are at face height to dogs and they are outwardly staring because that's what they think they're supposed to do. That's just what babies do. It makes some dogs uncomfortable. There are certain dog breeds that tend to stare. Bully breeds are one of them. Pit bulls, boxers, for example, those are breeds that just tend to look forward, and that's how they interact. Rottweilers do the same. And consequently, what can happen is that other dogs may perceive that as a threat. So you need to be sensitive to how dogs typically interact with one another to understand that your child may be acting as a trigger of sorts. All right, so let's dig in and talk a little bit about stress and how your dog may express their feelings of stress. I have these documents in the materials section of the class so that you can make them bigger and really look at them in more detail. Obviously, they're cartoons, they're not exact, but they do pretty accurately demonstrate a variety of body language. But some of these things might surprise you. So the look away is really interesting. That's a way of diffusing stress. The furrowed brow, that's something we all understand. Whale eye is where you see the whites around the eyes. So you often, it looks very surprised. That's something that you need to be wary of. If a dog is blinking and squinting, blinking very slowly, that is a dog that is trying to say, I don't mean any harm. I'm not a threat. You can actually use that on a dog that seems really upset with you. You can just start to blink really slowly and you can start to look away and alleviate some of that stress. The clown mouth there, that's really unusual. That's like a crazy grin. Really not a grin of happiness. This is I am extraordinarily stressed out kind of grin. All right, this one I love. And again, there's a copy of it in your section in this class where the materials are kept. And you can blow this up and take a peek at it. Some of these are really fun, like, engagements of like, I want to play with you. Some of them are stress related. So it's really important that you start to study the difference between those. One that I love that a lot of people don't know is that if a dog shakes off when they're dry as opposed to when they're wet, that is a stress reliever. So much as you would hear a coach tell an athlete, shake it off, you're going to be fine. That's kind of what this is. This is a shake it off. What I will encourage you to do is to look around and notice what caused that dog to feel the need to shake it off? Was there a stressful trigger that happened right before the shake off? So this is fun for you to start to dig in and start to investigate what could be going on that could be causing stress to your dog. All right, some different forms of dog body language. Certain dogs are really clearly relaxed and chill and happy-go-lucky, and other dogs are very clearly stressed. And even if you're not an expert in dog body language, some of these are pretty easy to read. The Golden Retriever here is just relaxed, loose jaw, happy, lovingly looking up at its parents. Whereas the little Chihuahua mix here is very clearly distressed. Ears are flat. You could see the eye, the body posture, the balance is not a relaxed balance. The whole body is tense. The jaw is tense. This is a dog that's very concerned. Now, some signs of dog body language are not so common, right? They're a little bit unusual. So in this particular case, the dog is doing what we call a paw lift. And a paw lift is a sign of stress. You can also notice that the dog's body looks tight, the mouth is closed, there looks like there's some tension in the jaw and in the forehead. All right, tongue flick is a really big one, and it's something that you're going to see, and I want you to start looking for it. This is indicative of discomfort. In this particular case, I want you to try to consider, why could this puppy corgi be upset, right? So we've got mom and baby on the floor playing. So the tongue flick could be, I don't want the baby reaching towards me. It could be the baby's too close, the baby's too loud. But it's also possible that it's because the dog is being restrained. A lot of dogs don't like that. And a lot of dogs really dislike being hugged. They dislike you coming over the top of them. So there are a variety of reasons. And so what you're going to start doing, because of this class, hopefully, is you will start to take a look and try to see if you can build patterns. Oh, I notice my dog does a tongue flick every time I reach to pet him when he's in his bed. Well, then you need to stop reaching to pet him when he's in his bed, because he is telling you he doesn't like it. Some dogs, if you reach over the top of them to pet their head, they don't like it. They'd rather you reach in and pet them from under here or on the shoulder instead. You come in sideways as opposed to over the top, which is a much less threatening way to approach your dog. Again, hugs, a lot of dogs dislike it, and yawns, surprisingly, are another sign of stress. So you need to start to consider what happened right before the yawn happened. Is somebody in the middle of doing something that's causing the dog distress, or did something happen just prior to it? These are really good clues for how your dog might be feeling. Okay, this is my girl Barley again. She, right prior to this photo, we were on a walk. She does not love seeing other dogs. And so before this, she was relaxed. She had an open mouth. She was panting and happy. Her ears were soft, which means they're floppy. Her ears here in this photograph are up and tight. They're not in a natural position. They don't look like that most of the time. And her mouth has become closed. So when a dog goes from having an open, happy kind of mouth to a tight mouth, you need to stop everything and figure out what is going on, because that dog can then amplify quickly. You might get a growl, you might get a bite. If the dog starts to stare really hard, like those hard eyes, look out. You got to really figure out what's happening. Now, there can be a lot of causes for a shift, a sudden shift in body language. And it's going to depend on your dog. So you're going to need to really understand your dog in this case. Possible shifts can include too many people nearby. We call these triggers, right? Anything that causes your dog stress, we call a trigger. So the distance to a trigger. So maybe there's a plastic bag that is blowing by in the wind. How close is that bag? Is it really close, or is it super far away, like a whole football field away? It's likely that if it's a football field away, it's too far to cause stress, right? But if it's close, it may cause stress. Other sudden changes, we call these sudden environmental changes, could be all of a sudden something shows up that wasn't there before, such as a visitor or a noise, or a person shows up from around a bend, screaming babies, tantruming toddlers. These things can happen. Sometimes it's a delivery driver at your door. Somebody just shows up all of a sudden and causes chaos in your house, right? Thunder is a really big one for many dogs who get really afraid because it's so unpredictable and it's scary and it's loud. So we want to make sure that we support our dogs as we lead up to these kinds of things. Some dogs shift in dog body language because they're worried about somebody perhaps taking something of value. So if they have a bone, they may shift and go totally frozen because they worry that you're going to reach in and take it away from them. Same with meals. Maybe you get too close to their bed or their meal or their food or their anything, bones, toys, whatever. Yes, so notice, please start to notice if your dog has a major shift in body language, it's very quick. What could be going on that could cause that to happen? All right, so it takes a lot of language to learn, a lot of practice, to learn a new language. So if you were studying Spanish or French or Italian or anything, you're going to need to work really hard. You need to practice. So I need you to practice with your dog. So I have created this scavenger hunt for you. It has a variety of different kinds of body language on it, and I want you to look for context. What was going on at the time that you noticed these kinds of body language? So what was happening when your dog licked its lips? What was happening when your dog looked away or pricked the ears forward or started panting? Sneezes can be a sort of to diffuse stress as well. Some dogs, like my puppy, will sneeze constantly when he's playing with my older dog, Barley, because he's trying to tell her that he means no harm, even though he's busy biting her face, right? He's saying, this is fun. It's just a joke. It's really fun. I'm not actually trying to hurt you. Okay, so I'm going to have every adult in your household work on this body language scavenger hunt and try to just figure out, are there any triggers that you can start to predict? And then I want you guys to download this app. It's called Dog Decoder, and it has over 60 different poses on display in this app. And each of them is really well illustrated and includes a variety of context and where in the body is the tension? Why does this look like fear versus excitement? So there's a little description that helps you to understand the context and why the dog might be doing some of these behaviors. So I'm going to challenge you, to get the Dog Decoder app and get it on your phone and look through it whenever you have downtime. So if you are in line at the grocery store, those kinds of things would be really great. I want you to practice, right? So take a look, start to figure out when your dog might be doing these things. How can it be useful for you in the future? But context is really important. Okay, you've got your assignment to do your dog body language scavenger hunt. I want you to do this as a family. It's kind of fun if you're sitting around together and your dog starts to do something, be like, hey, did you see that? I wonder what caused that to happen. Oh, did you see the squirrel outside? His ears went forward when he saw the squirrel, right? If there are patterns that demonstrate stress, it is really important that you share those patterns with caregivers of your dogs and baby because you need to be able to warn them, hey, every time you turn on the baby swing, the dog freaks out. So what I need you to do is put the dog in his room or move the dog to his crate or put the dog on the other side of that barrier, right? We want to try to alleviate stress in that regard. In this photograph, you can see this dog. This is Betty Boop. She was another foster dog that I had here for a little while from the shelter. She was very, very afraid of everything. And she's with my daughter. And in this photograph, Betty Boop is conflicted, right? So what you can see happen is that dogs may want attention, but be nervous of getting the attention. It's like a major conflict. And so she's yawning, but she's asking to be in my daughter's lap. So she climbed in there, but then she said, I'm here, I wanted attention, but I'm really worried about it. Okay, so you can have conflict. This is something to think about. All right, now since we are working on dog body language, it is really important that you guys, again, can notice when your dog is stressed. You can help everybody be safe. Now, when you bring home your baby for the first time, which is such an exciting thing, you have to be able to read your dog's body language. So you need a plan. You need a plan in place. So I will encourage you to go in and say hi to your dog without the baby first. Your dog will have missed you, and it's going to be pretty important that the dog doesn't jump and knock over the baby. Gosh, that would be horrendous. If you have birthed your baby, whether it's by C-section or whatever, you may be sore, and you need to contend with your dog's energy first. You may want to have somebody exercise your dog before you come in. But what we're going to do here is, in the next 2 video clips, I am going to show you a couple of homecoming videos that I found on YouTube, and I kind of talk about what's happening. And I want you to start to think while you're watching their videos of how you could do it differently. There were good things and bad things about both of the videos that I show you here, and I think you can do much better. But I definitely would recommend that you support your dog by giving your dog some structure at the time that you come inside with your baby for the first time. And I would highly encourage your dog to be on a leash to help you contain the dog, and you can use a lot of treats to reward the dog for being calm. But dog body language is going to help you a lot with your homecoming plan, because you will be able to notice if the dog is stressed, if the dog's ears go back, if the dog goes still, if the dog looks worried or excited, and all of these things. This is important to work out now. All right, so in the next video, we are going to do a couple of debrief homecoming videos, and I think that they'll be pretty revealing. And I do want you to notice too that kissing is not always affectionate. Sometimes kissing is sort of a pressure, like, I want you to get out of here, and I'm going to use my tongue on you kind of hard, like, get out, right? And we do not want our dogs doing that in our babies' faces. And plus, I let my dogs kiss me, but I'm an adult and I have a great immune system. But your dogs do some pretty gross stuff. They lick their butts, and they sometimes eat poop, and they pick up dead things. And your baby is brand new and doesn't have a real strong immune system yet. So the idea of letting your dog come and say hi and give him a big lick right away in the face is not something I'm super comfortable with. So you'll need to come up with your own comfort level. Maybe they can do that when the kids are a little older. Maybe they could lick the feet before the feet come into the mouth, right? Your baby's not going to start chewing on his or her own toes for a couple of months. If the dog needs to sniff and lick a part of the body, that's the part I would recommend, as opposed to hands and faces. But I hope you enjoy those other videos. I think they're pretty interesting and inspiring in a way, because you can see what works and what you think doesn't work. And I'm sure you can develop a better plan than the ones I'm showing you here. All right, great class. I hope things are going well. Feel free to email me with any updates. Take care. See you next time.